We got a lot of Greeks in this town. Somebody could.
There are a lot of restaurants that don't necessarily have a Greek name. Run by.
That's true.
I know it's just adjusting. It'll go well. Usually, I don't think we have a TV down here. Yeah, we'll have to hold on. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Public Safety Committee. We're so happy to have you with us, those who are watching us on air. And we are in our wonderful committee room here. And Madam Clerk, would you just call our roll, please?
Yes. Madam Chair Scipio,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Hall, Councilmember Joyner,
Present.
and Councilmember Andrew Bowen.
Here.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say good afternoon, especially to the members of our public safety arena, our Chief Mayo and his wonderful team, and Chief Penn and his wonderful team. Thank you all for being here. Today we have a fairly short agenda. We have no consent items today, and so we'll go right to our general agenda, and we will start with G1.
Item G1, information on Police Department grant award from Firehouse Subs Foundation for automated external defibrillators.
Good afternoon, Chair Scipio, members of the committee, and council. The police department's been fortunate enough to have been awarded a grant of $12,560 from Firehouse Subs. That grant will be used to purchase 8 AEDs for the various police department facilities.
And we have received these funds already, or?
No,
They will.
no, they will reimburse.
Oh, this is
Yes.
reimbursable, okay. Is there any discussion or questions for the chief on this particular grant?
Good afternoon. Are these going to be located at the different stations? Or are they going to be out in the community at all?
No, they'll be used at the police department facilities.
This is an information item, correct? So we're just needing to accept that, not having to vote on it, correct? So, thank you, Chief. We'll just accept that. Thank you, and congratulations on getting the grant, and continue getting grants.
Thank you.
All the grants we can get, we'd love to have them. Thank you. Now we'll go to G2.
Item G2, 2024 Citywide Crime Review.
So it's me again.
Yes.
What I would like to do at this point is direct your attention towards the PowerPoint slide. Just wanted to give you an idea of kind of what happened in our city in 2024 in comparison to 2023. I'm going to start with violent crime. As you can see, homicides were down 32%, robberies 8.6, aggravated assaults, larcenies, and motor vehicle thefts. If you look just a little bit lower than that, you'll notice that total crime in our city was down 10% in comparison to 2023. Of course, we're all happy about that, but there's still more work to be done. And then I want to draw your attention to clearance rate. So the clearance rate is 85% on homicide cases compared to the state average of 45% and a national average of 57%. So while violent crime is down, particularly in homicides, when those decide to do that, we're being extremely successful at locating, arresting, and clearing those cases, which is what we're proud of. And then from there, I'm going to show you the employee rate, where in 2024, we had a net gain of 23 sworn officers. So that number we started off in January 1st, 2024, by December 31st, 2024, we had added 23 sworn employees, which we're extremely proud of. As you know, we have been operating at a net loss for previous years, so this was a very good news for us and our community.
Thank you, Chief. This is some good news. How close are we to being fully employed?
So we're about 88 employees on the sworn side, and we're working hard to fill those. We're getting good news. Applications are up. Folks are working hard in the field and in the backgrounds to get them out on the street. We also are receiving a lot of interest from lateral employees at other agencies who are looking at Winston-Salem, and they like what they see. They like what we're doing. They like the support that the department gets from both our community and council and our city leadership. So I'm proud to say Winston-Salem Police Department is the place to work in law enforcement right now.
Great. Are any questions, comments?
Chief, clearance rate on homicides, 85%.
Yes.
What about, say, robberies?
So I can get that information to you. I didn't bring that, but we're doing a fantastic job in clearance rates on all violent crime.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for this, and commend you for lowering the rates of all the highlights here. One thing that we've been in conversation with within council is the Cure Violence program. Is there any kind of partnership there between you and the county that we can look at to look at these numbers here, and whether that is a benefit in any kind of way that you guys utilize that program?
So that partnership work as follows. We provide information to Cure Violence, but by design, we don't work with the violence interrupters. As part of the design, they feel that in order to maintain credibility with the folks that they're talking to on the ground, it's best not to interact with the police department. So it's hard to be able to dig down into those numbers for that reason.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, what do you attribute the reduction in crime to?
I figured you may ask that, so I do have an answer. As you might imagine, that's a loaded question. What I will tell you on the police department side, we're putting the right people in jail who need to be in jail, getting them off the street. That's a factor. I think it's always important to give credit to the community as well. We asked them last year, walk away from conflict, don't engage. And I would say when you see numbers decrease like that, some of that's going on. There are partnerships with some of our community organizations as well as law enforcement agencies. So it's partnerships. There's a lot of folks doing good work in our community, partnerships with the Winston-Salem Police Foundation. So we have tons of partnerships outside of just enforcing the law that I think play into those numbers decreasing like you see.
And just thinking about where we are right now, what do you think is our or your department's greatest challenge in serving our community? What are we facing in the community that you would like citizens to be aware of and to not do?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll go back to that employee rate. We had a net gain of 23 sworn officers, largest since 2014, but I'll tell you in 2021, 2022, we had net losses of 59 employees 2 years in a row. We're coming back, but we're still being asked to do a lot with limited resources, not unlike other departments within the city, and we're doing the best we can. So see something, say something. We may not get to you as quickly as you would like. I get that, because we have to prioritize our call responses.
Scott?
Is there an area that you would say needs to have a bigger focus in the whole police force on some of these numbers, statistics here?
Again, the employee rate.
Okay.
We are a skilled and talented and elite crime-fighting machines, and we just need more of us.
Mr. Pate?
I have a phone-in question
Okay.
from a council member. We'll be here later, I'm sure. The question was with the net gain of 23, how many retirements and vacancies do we have? So how many new officers do we have? Net?
So the net gain includes retirements and separation. So that is the plus 23. That's included in the number.
But how many do we actually hire really past year? You know?
I don't have that offhand, but I can get that to you.
Any other comments?
And I will say, Madam
Mr. Pate?
Chairman, that the police department does a comprehensive annual report once a year, but it's a little early to do that. They're still waiting on some of their data to come in. So this is kind of a preliminary snapshot of what they're doing, but they do, you will get a nice
Yes, it'll be a
Report.
nice pretty book.
Little
That's
later
all
on
that
in
good
the-
information, yes.
Thank you, Chief, very much for this snapshot, and I'm sure my colleagues and the rest of our citizens in the community would love to be able to toot our horn one day and say we had so many days without crime in Winston-Salem. So we need everyone to help make that happen.
That's right.
And we're going to work to have a goal to see if we can get the citizens on board that we will not have crime for a few days in this city. Thank you so much, and thank you to your excellent department.
Thank you.
We'll have our next item.
Item G3, 2024 Winston-Salem Fire Department Annual Report.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, to you and members of the committee and council. I'd like to just pull out, I don't know, 8 or 10 items of interest out of our annual report, and I hope Madam Clerk can make it bigger than that, because it's at a distance that's too far for one of my lenses and not far enough for the other. So if you will drive us to page 6, and I'm going by the page number that's at the bottom of the page, not the PDF page number. So here I wanted to bring it to your attention that as a result, I'm sure most of you remember the work that Representative Kathy Manning did back for us last year to secure some federal funding to bring more robustness to the bear team. That branch of the fire department is now running at full staff of 11. Director Ryan is over here behind me, but I know she is delighted to have those additional folks on the street to bring some relief to some folks who, she has a very creative shift schedule so that we provide 24/7, 365 behavioral health services, which I believe we're the only team in the state that does that, even though others are staffed sometimes 2 or 2.5 times better than we are. But Director Ryan and her group pulled it off, so those additional positions were welcome. On page 7, the Fire and Life Safety Branch last year was able to make some moves that allowed them to put an assistant fire marshal in each platoon. So we run a 3-shift system like most career fire departments in the country do. And we had been for, I guess, throughout the history of the organization without having anybody assigned a shift. So when you needed an investigation or some input from somebody from the fire marshal's office after hours or on a weekend, that was an on-call system. So sometimes it was an hour or more before that person showed up at a scene. But now with that on-duty fire marshal, who is the person that you're seeing in council meetings now, that resource is now attached to the initial resource assignment for almost all fires. So that's been an improvement. On page 8, the logistics branch, we were able to, Station 3 on Liberty Street, that's a 2018 bond project. You might remember that it was delayed due to cost overruns during COVID when the cost of labor and building materials got so expensive. But we were able to open that station back in July. And also on that page, you will see 2 new pumpers that showed up several months ago. We were starting to see some apparatus arrive that we ordered during COVID. But still, the manufacturers are starting to catch up, but still pumpers are a 24 to 30 month lead time. We can get a ladder truck in about 24 months. So just, we have to be sure we're planning far enough ahead in anticipation of those extended delivery times. Also of note, if you have been inbound on Country Club Road in front of Station 10 there at the corner of Country Club and Jonestown, so that engine answers on that Country Club corridor. They answer all the way west to the city limits out Stires Ferry, the Metal Arc corridor. They answer, that's the engine that answers all the way out there. And they at times have a difficult challenge getting out of the fire station and making that left turn because of traffic stacked up on inbound Country Club Road, waiting to either go through the Jonestown light or they're queued up turning right on Jonestown Road going over toward the mall. So thanks to Director Fansler and his folks at City DOT, we were able to put what's called a queue cutter there. So if you are again, inbound on Country Club, there's essentially an additional set of lights hung. So when the engine's in the station and they have a call, there's a button in the station they press, and it turns the light at Jonestown, at Country Club in Jonestown, inbound green, and it turns that queue cutter set of lights red. So it has the effect of opening up that area in front of the fire station so that they can make that left turn, because it was not that folks were not yielding the right of way. They didn't have anywhere to go, because of that stacking of traffic at certain times of the day. So we were glad to get that in place to help them with some of their travel times out on the west side. On page 11, I'll point out to you there, just because I think it's important to note of work that doesn't necessarily get captured in the records management system, but they're in the lower, I think it's in the lower right there, I can't see it. I think it's under that blue bar, where you see the statistics for the Bear Team's run numbers for last year. So that number reflects the initial incident only. It does not reflect any follow-up. So the Bear Team is always going out with clients, making sure that they are taking medications, that they are going to the doctor, that they are staying connected with resources that the Bear clinicians have identified as being appropriate in the community. And if those follow-up visits were were noted here, that number would be about 80% higher than what you see reflected. On page 12, some more run data for you. So that number up at the top, the total responses, so that reflects all responses, including Bear, for last calendar year. But when we back out Bear and compare it to our last year of pre-COVID data, so that would be the 12 months ending February 29th, 2019, this number represents a 33% increase over that last full year of pre-COVID data, which is a substantial increase in call volume. And that number also is not reflective of the number of times we're actually putting fire trucks on the street responding, because a sizable portion of our requests for service are not single unit responses. You know, cardiac arrest get 2 engines, building fires get 11 pieces of rolling stock. You know, motor vehicle crashes may get 2 or 3 or 4 pieces of apparatus responding, depending on what information can be gathered from the 911 caller. So considering all that, we're putting fire trucks on the street in an emergency response mode about 58,000 times a year. On page 13, the trading branch has done well, catching us up from some staffing struggles that we experienced during COVID. Class 35 is running right now and will graduate a month from this coming Thursday, and we forecast that when that class goes on the street that we will be only 2 short of our authorized number in operation, so that is positive. Also, the training branch is undertaking a project that is underway right now. Our last physical ability test that was validated, I think in 2016, it was 2016 or 17, it marries us to the fire training facility at Forsyth Tech's King campus. That's the only place that it's validated to be run. But the training branch led by Chief Grubb, sitting here behind Mr. King, that's Chief Brown. Chief Grubb is about there in the third row, sorry, I should have looked further over my shoulder. They are working with vendors to develop a physical ability test that can be run. We could set it up at the Beatty Center, we could set it up in a parking lot, perhaps in a school gymnasium, depending on, you know, how particular they were about the floor. But the intent is to make that test more convenient for incumbent personnel to get to practice, and they have to run that test annually, but also to make it more available to prospective applicants who may not have any fire experience. We will be able to set that course up in a more convenient location or multiple locations with less staff, and make it available for familiarization and practice before an applicant actually has to run it for time. And then on page 16, I'm proud to say that after a couple of false starts, we, in August, we went to Atlanta and were achieved accredited agency status from the Center for Public Safety Excellence. Accredited fire agencies in America represent about 1/100% of all fire departments in the country. So, you know, very, very proud of that achievement. It took a while to get there. We had a couple of, the challenge with accreditation managers is you have to have high achievers in there, and our folks kept getting promoted out of that position. So we had to have some stability in that office. This is a process, not a project, but to bring that process to the point of becoming accredited, again, back in August. So we have to file an annual compliance report on an annual basis, and then we'll be up for accreditation again in 5 years, so 2029. And then on page 18, We had 4 this year graduate from the National Fire Academy's Executive Fire Officer Program. This is the crown jewel of executive leadership training in the fire service. So we're very proud of these folks, and we have 2 more who will start in the spring. Chief Browning is one of them, and then Battalion Chief Jeff Shaw will be the other one who will begin their journey through that program starting in the spring, later this spring. And then on pages 19 to 25, you will see just a sampling of various activities, and you can just kind of scroll through these slowly, Madam Clerk, if you like, that we were involved in, around the state and locally, thanks to our PIO, Tabitha Childress, and risk reduction specialist Teresa Knox. They keep us engaged in the community on a daily basis, sometimes multiple days. Multiple things are going on simultaneously every day. But, in addition to, our firefighters who get a lot of the credit for the services they provide, I wanted to, as I close out, just recognize, the fact that, we have code enforcement staff who are interacting with the business community on a daily basis, to help them with opening new business and upfits and remodels and just generally doing the things to stay within the confines of what the fire code says and to make sure that their patrons are safe in those environments. We have apparatus mechanics who keep the fleet of over 40 fire apparatus on the road, for those 58,000 times that they're hitting the streets every year. The office staff that is making sure the bills are paid and contracts and records are legal and accurate and HR functions are carried out and all of those things that have to go on kind of on the business side of the fire department that is not as readily visible to the public. So I just want to thank all those folks. It's a great team, and they are working hard every day to make sure it all gets done. So that concludes my comments, Madam Chair. I'll take any any questions that you or the committee or council have.
I have quite a few, but I'm going to ask if my colleagues have any first.
I don't have a question, just a comment. This is for both you and for Chief Penn, but thank you both for both your departments for the work you guys did around the race that was last week. Very visible, and I know that the work that went into all around that was a lot of hours, so I want to thank both departments for all the work you guys did.
Thank you. I'll give credit to Chief Penn and his department. That was much more a law enforcement event than fire. We were present, but nice job that they did.
Chief, how many service hours of training, in-service hours training for a firefighter per year?
So to get full credit from the Insurance Services Office, it's about 240, and it has to be, we have to hit certain categories to get that full credit, but we exceed that by probably 50%. And there's a table in there. I don't pretend to ask you to do the math, but you can see the total hours, and that chart also includes how many personnel were on the roster that year. And if you were to do that math, you could come out to what we actually deliver, but we do exceed the minimum that is required for full ISO credit.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief, here's some questions. On page 9, talks about maintenance, and I had a question about the numbers. Third quarter had a spike in out of service. The third quarter had 9,200. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready now.
Do you have a sense of what caused that increase in the out of service?
I don't, but, and I would be happy to ask Chief Sawyer and his group to look into it further, but, being in this business as long as I have, I would say it was coincidence that's just when We may have had a number of apparatus come in on a preventive maintenance schedule, and while they're in, for oil changes and tires and air filters and those routine things, a lot of times the mechanics will find a crack in a frame or a broken spring or things like that the folks who operate the fire truck would not be trained and or able to see. But I will ask just to make sure that my intuition is accurate.
Okay. And how many mechanics do we have?
3.
Just 3 for,
Yes, ma'am.
they're working 8 hours
They
just
work-
during the day?
They work 4 10s. Yes, ma'am.
Spell that, explain
They
that.
work 4 10-hour days, and then they take a call rotation at night and on the weekends.
Okay. And I think the next one's page 11, the incident totals by stations, apparatus.
Okay?
I didn't want to make an assumption. What causes the variation from station to station? Is it the population density that it's being covered, older houses, or older buildings, or can we explain why some stations have lower incidences than others?
Yes, ma'am. I would tell you, and this is true for any city our size or, or bigger, and on down to cities that are, 60 or 80,000 population anywhere in the country, is if you tell me where folks with less access to various things, whether it be standard housing, health care, education, financial resources, et cetera, if you show me where those populations are concentrated, I will point to the busy fire stations on a map.
So it's more social, economic.
Often it is. And of course, like, downtown is very densely populated where Central Fire Station is on Marshall Street, relative to our slowest station up north off of Bethania Rural Hall Road, where it is not, I don't know if you can now, but in the last 3 or 4 years, you could look out one side of the fire station and see cows out on a field. It's in the city limits, but it is not nearly as dense. And when you don't have that population density, you're going to realize a lower call volume.
Thank you on that. And on page 12, you had the quick stats. I just wanted to say it's commendable that we only had 5 fatalities, given the total number of incidences we had. But it was also amazing to see how much property was saved.
Right.
And I'm not so certain people really understand how much property we actually save through good fire service and prevention. I suspect that a lot of the property loss was due to a lack of smoke detectors and alarms.
That is contributing. If we could just snap our fingers and keep people from cooking and smoking, we would essentially eliminate America's fire problem, and that's the straight truth. And let me qualify that for you, because I see you side-eyeing me about the cooking.
Yeah.
If we could prevent people from unattended cooking and smoking.
Yeah.
Unattended cooking is the number one source of ignition for building fires in America, and improperly discarded smoking materials is the number one source of ignition for fire deaths in America.
And therefore, a lot of it is preventable.
Yes, ma'am. It is almost everything we do, just like our friends in blue.
Yes.
We deal with a lot of human behavior challenges.
Wow. And my last comment is congratulations on the accreditation. And I don't know if people heard, we are among 311 accredited departments in the world.
Correct.
In the world. and that is phenomenal. And Chief, I know we have excellent staff in fire department, because I believe we have quite a few of our senior personnel are actual, they go out to other fire stations to help them get accreditation. They are teachers.
Right, so, well, not necessarily teachers, but they're called peer assessors. So, and that's one of the beauties of the accreditation model is you have to have, how many peer assessors do we have to have as an accredited agency? You have to have at least one. You have to have at least one, but we have six. And they have to do at least one peer site visit, one site visit a year to maintain their credential as a peer assessor. So what that does is it gives our folks exposure to other progressive fire and emergency services agencies around the country and sometimes around the world. You know, sometimes peer assessors will be sent to Europe or Australia or somewhere, and you get to see the innovative things that other folks are doing, and when those ideas are right, well, they bring them back here and we put them in place here.
I don't want to make an assumption, but are our peer assessors some of our, I don't want to say this, how do I say this? Our older members of the staff, or can younger people become that?
Mix.
It's a good mix.
It's a fair mix of young and old, no, I mean, more tenured and less.
Good. And where are some of the places that they have gone to assess other cities?
Let's see, I know we've been to Fargo, we've been to, where'd you go last?
Corpus Christi, Riverside, California, Mesa, Arizona.
Did you hear that?
Repeat it so
Corpus
that,
Christi, Mesa, and Riverside, California. Chief Hardison, he is our only, he's actually a team lead. He's just been qualified as a team lead, and he's just come back from the city of Miami Beach. It was not the city of Miami, the city of Miami Beach. So yeah, it runs the gamut. We're all over. You can't, unless they've changed it, you cannot do a site visit in your own state. You've got to go out of state. But again, our folks are getting all of that exposure and knowledge, but the travel, hotels, meals, everything associated with those site visits is borne by the agency that they are going to. So we have no cost other than that employee is gone from here and not doing whatever work they would be doing here while they're on that site visit for, they're typically 3.5 or 4 days.
thank you, Chief. I think this is an excellent report. I just want everyone to know just how excellent and how qualified the members of our public safety department are, both in the fire department and in the police department. And they are wonderful places to work. And so we hope we can recruit more and more young people who will come and test it out, but stay, because it's a wonderful career path. And it's more than just fighting fires and running after people. There are all kinds of jobs in both of those departments. And I thank you for this great report, and we'll look forward to seeing the police department's annual report when it's ready.
Yes, ma'am. And if I may pass your appreciation on right here publicly to Assistant Chief Bobby Wade in the planning branch and the folks who supported the production of that document, Captain Daniel Everhart and Assistant Accreditation Manager David Emery, and I'm sure Senior Administrative Assistant Drew Whitehurst helped, and you know what trouble you run into when you start calling names. I'm sure I am mentioning somebody, but I know those four played a large role. I think it's a good-looking report. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Committee members and Mr. Clark, anything you'd like to have any comments to close our meeting?
I would just comment to the fire department. City fires have been in the news a lot lately. And we're just I don't know if we're lucky or good, but North Carolina seems to be a good place to live.
Yes, it is.
Concur with that. And the city of Winston-Salem happens to be excellent
Yeah.
if you know how to behave. Yes. Thank you. Well, with that, if there is no
Madam
other
Chair,
comments?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second. So we are officially adjourned. Thank you.